So we've heard stories about people wanting to get out of the big cities since the pandemic started.
Now there's a new survey by the Harris Poll and the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. And it shows that people who live in cities are, by and large, still very committed to their homes.
That there's not this mass exodus, and if you may have heard anecdotes, you may have heard stories.
Yeah,
but people kind of stay where they are.
We hear a lot about this, especially here in the Twin Cities, right, Heather? Because we had COVID first, and there's no question downtown Minneapolis is a ghost town right now, right?
Right.
Because workers are not coming down here.
No.
But then with the protests after the death of George Floyd, some of the violence and the riots that happened, that was followed by this narrative that, like, everybody's gone. But you've looked at the housing sales data.
Right, and I've been looking at this for a while because I've been wondering, if that really rings true. And if you look at it, you'll find that housing sales in Minneapolis, they're up 10%. That houses are actually going on average over asking price. Same thing is happening in St. Paul. Home sales there are up 16%. Story's a little different for rent, though.
Yeah, rent is down, which means demand is softening. And so, you have to think about, I don't know, I think people oversimplify major life decisions. Packing up your home isn't just like, I'm done, I'm out. You gotta clean your house, you gotta pack your stuff, you have to sell your home, you have to consider your work, your family, your kids, your school, all of this stuff. People can't just flip a switch and be like, I'm done, I'm out of here.
No, and the
rent,
other thing,
maybe you can.
Maybe
it's
you can.
easier, right?
But the other thing is you chose to live in the city or you chose to live in the suburbs for a reason. And you ask people, do you like living where you live? And they'll tell you that they do.
Yeah, they asked.
Right?
This survey, they looked at the 6 largest cities: New York, LA, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, Philly, those cities, for example. 50% of people who lived in cities said, despite COVID, I would not change where I live. 25% said it leaves them more invested in the idea of living in an urban area. And then another 25% say they would go to the suburbs or rural. Now, that's not an insignificant amount of people, right?
No, it's not.
It's a lot of people. When you say 75% are still committed, 25% say in a dream world, maybe I'd move.
Right.
That is significant, but it's not a mass exodus, right?
It's not, and what's also interesting about this is pretty consistent around all people that you talk to, whether the responses come along from education levels, from different family styles, along race too, is that these numbers stay pretty consistent there. So we know that if people have made the decision to go somewhere and to stay somewhere, they've usually committed to that.
Right. Yeah, we'll see what happens with occupancy when it comes to rent, right?
Right.
Those are the folks who might be more inclined to look for a place to rent.
For sure. And a lot of that, you see a lot of the
luxury
luxury buildings downtown here. I mean, a lot of those were built. So you have to wonder, is that where some of the softening is coming to?
But maybe those were overbuilt and overpriced already. So it's just very hard to tease these things out.
Especially when we're right in the middle of it. We probably have a better idea next year.
Right.